Doug, thanks for taking the time to join me here. I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on, but this is just kind of a general, get to know some different athletic trainers around the country in different settings. Tell me a little bit about the setting you're in right now. Where are you working?
So right now, my current role is the head athletic trainer for the Carolina Hurricanes. Keeps me busy, and it's a lot of work, a lot of travel, but overall, I enjoy it.
Did you always want to get into like the pro setting? Did you always know you wanted to be at the professional level, or is this just kind of something that happened?
Yeah, I think I always leaned that way. I don't know if I would, I was one of those people that came out of undergrad or grad school just dying to be in the pros. It definitely was on my radar. I really enjoyed working with elite level athletes. There's plenty of elite level athletes at the college level, and I worked in minor league hockey, and I really liked the sport. And when the opportunity to work the highest level of pro hockey came about, it was something that I definitely wanted to do.
What was kind of your path to get there? Because I know a lot of young professionals that want to get to that level don't really know what steps to take. So kind of how did you get there? What was your path? And what advice would you give to some young professionals that want to work in a similar setting?
Yeah, so one thing that was really important for me, I think, is I did 2 of the NFL internships, one in undergrad and one in grad school, one with the Seahawks and one with the Eagles. I think seeing that on my resume and making those network connections that are at the highest level of pro football, I think that really stood out on my resume as I wandered into pro hockey. As I alluded to a little earlier, I worked a year in minor league hockey and really enjoyed the sport. So I think the combination of my network, having some very high level pro experience and making some connections and network in the hockey world were kind of what got me to where I'm at. To the young professional that's interested in pro hockey, I would recommend making those connections. Getting the experience with major Division I college hockey programs, working in minor league pro hockey. There's a lot of really good minor league pro hockey jobs out there in the American Hockey League, the ECHL, junior hockey. And so I think getting that experience and anytime you can network with the other people in pro sports, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, whatnot, expanding that kind of network really can get you places.
So you think it's kind of more of a networking and getting a bit of the sport experience, but the network's the most important, because we know the athletic training world is not that large, right? It seems like everybody knows somebody.
Absolutely. It's unbelievable. It's a big, small profession, right? There's a ton of athletic trainers, but we've all come through a very similar undergraduate experience and program, and we've intermingled in graduate schools and things like that, like I said, everybody knows everybody, and your professors and my professors and your clinical supervisors, my clinical supervisors, and next thing you know, you're Kevin Bacon 6 degrees of separation in athletic training is like one.
Right. Now, kind of just switching a little bit, but what would you say is, for you, the single best piece of advice that you've received, whether it's professionally or just kind of life in general? Like what is kind of one thing that you've gotten in your past that you just carry with you?
I think, this is kind of maybe a generic quote, but I heard it somewhere along the lines. It's, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that in athletic training, we're a science field. What we do, it needs to be based on the research and needs to be based on good, solid evidence-based practice and stuff like that. But our athletes, more than anything, they need to know that you care about them. Their athletics are in my world, it's their way of making a living, right? And for collegiate athletes, they're potentially hoping to make it to this level, and or this is their last hurrah of their ability to perform a sport they have since they were 3 years old, right? So I think knowing, or even the weekend warrior, and stuff like that, right? This is their escape, their stress-free time to get away, and I think them just knowing that you care genuinely about them and about their sport goes a long way.
Yeah. I think that's excellent. And we always, like you said, like you alluded to, we always preach evidence-based practice, right? And knowing the research and how to treat these. But one of the pillars of evidence-based practice is the patient's values, right? So you got to know what those are and what they care about to really treat them to the best of your ability. So I think that's awesome.
Absolutely. And the more they establish that trust with you, the more you can really get into the science of the evidence-based practice of why you're doing X, Y, and Z, and they buy into it a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Doug, we've known each other for a long time, and you've always been one of the best storytellers I know, right? So what would you say, and you can set the scene as much as you want to, what would you say is the craziest thing you've experienced as an athletic trainer?
The craziest thing that I've ever seen in sports was last year in a National Hockey League game. We put a 40-some-year-old emergency backup, one kidney, Zamboni driver in goal because our first two goalies got hurt and could not return. So in the scheme of the sports world, I would say that's probably the craziest thing that I've ever seen. And added on, we had multiple other injuries going on, and it was a perfect storm of there were more injuries than the athletic training staff had hands, and it was a triage department of moving people around and getting this and getting that, all while we're in the heat of a playoff race and had to throw in a as I said, 41-year-old emergent. I don't know, 45-year-old. I can't even know. I mean,
he didn't let in a goal either, did he? I remember that.
He let in two. He let in the first two goals on the first two shots he saw, and they were very. And I think at that point, the team recognized that they were going to have to play incredibly, incredibly hard in front of him, and they did. And they pulled it out. And I've never seen a band of guys band together like that and play so hard and actually dominate the game. They literally took the game over and got this guy the win. And personally, I think he let the two goals in just so he could be the goalie of record and make sure that he got the win. Sandbagger.
hey, whatever it takes, he's gonna make sure that moment lives on.
Yeah. It was a wild night, and it was in the hockey center of the world in Toronto. So for the Toronto is there are the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Yankees of the hockey world, and for that to happen there in Toronto, and this guy to be a Toronto resident, it was wild. They gave him a standing ovation when they named him first star of the game, and the dust settled, and the team won regardless of who we put in goal. It was really fun.
Yeah, because in the moment you're just using Velcro and duct tape to try and get a team out there, right?
Literally, we had contingency plans for fourth goalies. We had contingency plans for shootouts. Was one goalie able to go in and play just on his knees, and not stand up? It was quite a circus in the back.
Yeah, I bet. So switching up a little bit from the craziest, what's been your hardest moment as an athletic trainer?
I think the time commitment that athletic trainers put in is always tough. I try to take everything that happens at work with a grain of salt, in that, it's just a job. And an upset coach or an upset management or a player, we'll talk our way through it, and things will be better the next day. I think the toughest part, like I said, is the travel. I've got a family. I've got a wife, two young kids that, going on the road as much as we do and being away from them, is tough. So managing that family life, personal life, those types of things, I think is the toughest part of the job. And, just the hours in general. It's long days, 81, 82 or 82 games a year, you know, so
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah. So how do you find that balance, right? Like I've got 2 young kids too, right?
Yeah.
My oldest is a little older than yours, but I mean, that was always my challenge too, and
Yeah.
it led me, and I think there's a lot of athletic trainers out there that are in the same boat, kind of led me away from clinical athletic training a bit. So how do you kind of find that balance? Because I mean, your time commitment's more than probably anything I've ever had with how much you're on the road and everything like that.
Yeah. You know, you find other ways, you know, luckily with digital stuff, right? Like we're having this conversation from hundreds of miles away. I can have these types of conversations with my kids as well. You know, I'm big on Headspace. I don't know if you're familiar with that. You know, they're just stress relievers and, you know, joy of the day kind of stuff, ways to pick you up, a little bit of meditation kind of things. You know, managing the family and stuff. You know, we take our summers really seriously, and we're pretty lucky that you know, we work for a great organization that allows us to get away a little bit in the summertime, and our hours are a little bit more relaxed. You know, obviously between September and hopefully June when we win the Stanley Cup, things are busy and things are going, and we put a lot of time in and whatnot. But our summers are a little bit slower, and we're able to get away and recoup, recharge the batteries, spend some quality family time, and catch up with friends as well.
Yeah, that's great. I know it's tough, but yeah, just like you said, kind of take each day as it comes, and try and let the stress roll off your back, because when it comes right down to it, those people around you are the most important.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, one more AT related question on kind of how everything goes, and I'll have this more positive than hardest and craziest. But what would you say is your proudest moment as an athletic trainer?
You know, that's a great question, and it's not in the professional hockey world. Um, so after grad school, I took a job with Penn State football, and then I went back to UNC and worked 2 years as the athletic trainer with sport clubs. And it was something that kind of a visionary of Dan Hooker, their head athletic trainer at the time, and Kevin Guskowitz, who's now the chancellor at UNC. They kind of took a chance on me and put me into that role to start providing athletic training services to club sports. And it was a population that was significantly underserved on the university campus, right? There's, I think, 2 or 3 times as many club sport athletes as there are Division I athletes. And starting that program in a way from scratch, you know, writing all the EAPs myself, and developing and turning that into a program that is still running. That was 12 years ago now. No, 13 years ago.
Time gets away from us, Doug.
Yeah, it's still up and running, and it has grown. I believe they, you know, just in my short time there, you know, it was me and a graduate student. We were able to add a part-time PT/ATC onto the fold. I think they've since gotten an additional grad student, and they have undergrads that are working with them. So just to hear and see how that's grown and what that's turned into, you know, there were some letters that were, you know, written to, you know, presidents and chancellors and whatnot of the university that were from parents of club sport athletes, just saying, you know, how nice it was that their son or daughter got, you know, hurt on the E-house field, and the athletic trainer was there, took care of them, got them plugged into the system. And you know, the same thing happened a week earlier when they were, you know, at a different university, and you know, that type of care wasn't available for them. So stories like that really make you proud. I'm really proud that program caught wind, and you know, I think it's more common around the United States now, than significantly more common than it was, you know, 10, 12 years ago when we started that thing.
Yeah, there are a lot more universities kind of following that model now, and it's great to see, right? Because it's really tough to get healthcare as a college student. I mean, you have access maybe when you're on campus, but it's more kind of general medical type stuff. So
Yeah.
anything orthopedic that happens as part of that, it's great to have that access and to be able to get the care to get better, and it just spreads the gospel of athletic training to more general public, right? Because like you said, these parents know it. They're writing letters to chancellors saying how important athletic trainers are. So it's just another way to show everybody what we're able to do.
Yeah, promote the profession. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, like I said, I know you're busy. You're prepping for a game. What'd you say, tomorrow night there in
tomorrow
Columbus?
night. Yeah.
So I won't keep you too much longer, but it's always great to catch up with you, and I appreciate your time. Any parting words of wisdom for anybody out there? You're always good for a quote or two.
Put me on the spot. Put me on the spot. I would give some advice to anyone out there that wants to be taken seriously as an athletic trainer, that you need to have 80s music in your athletic training room, or it's going to be tough for us to take you seriously. So familiarize yourself with some classics. Don't Stop Believin', and We Didn't Start the Fire, and make your 80s music is positive. So put it on in your athletic training room, and the positivity in your athletes will shine through.
And you can't help but sing along to those songs. And there's a long list of success stories.
Yeah,
from 80s music in the athletic training room, translating to high level athletic trainers.
Yes, absolutely. If you want to work in the National Hockey League, get yourself familiarized with January 1st, 1980 through December 31st, 1989.
I think that's great advice. I love it. All right, Doug. Thanks again, man. Good luck in the game.
Thank you. Yeah.
Stay healthy and keep trucking through this crazy pandemic. Hopefully things turn around here soon.
Yeah, hopefully. Thanks for having me, Josh.